Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Austin here, or Luna. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday night. As I'm recording this, it's Thursday night, November 6th, 2025. Not in a great mood, not gonna lie. I was scrolling Twitter, like literally 2 minutes before I recorded this, and I see that Rockstar Games delayed GTA 6 again. Yeah, I'm not happy about it. Not gonna lie, not happy about it one bit. I don't even want to get too deep into it because I will literally just lose my fucking mind. It's so annoying. Anyway, not gonna let it affect my mood too much, okay? I have a very good story time to tell you guys today. Hopefully it's good enough to uplift you if you're also annoyed about this GTA 6 delay. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoy this. Leave a like on the video if you do, and let's get into it. So today's story time all takes place back in the year 2015. Yeah, not 2014 today. Today we're talking about 2015. Now, this was the very end of 2015. This was in December of 2015, so literally right around the corner from 2016. At this time, my channel was absolutely exploding with popularity. I was blowing up. I was like getting my initial blow up on YouTube, right? Like this is when I was like starting to become a YouTuber, basically. I mean, I guess the day I made my channel, I became a YouTuber because I'm making YouTube content, but I guess I was becoming a full-time YouTuber, I should say. Now, I remember this was when Christmas break was happening, so everybody in my school was off for like 2 weeks, including me. This was also when I was like starting to not go to school anymore and like dropping out. So the break didn't really matter much to me. But yeah, around this time, everybody was on Christmas break, all my friends, me, everybody, and we were enjoying our break. It had just started. This was 2 days after Christmas break had started. Now, literally 2 days into Christmas break, I'd already completely fucked up my sleep schedule. My sleep schedule was already fried. It takes me literally a day to mess up my sleep schedule, so I was not that surprised. But yeah, my sleep schedule was cooked. I was getting up very late in the day. I woke up at 2 p.m. on the day that the story time takes place. I rolled up out of bed, took a shower. By the time I got done showering and getting ready for the day, it was like 3:30. Yeah, I take long showers. After that, I walked out into the kitchen, got some cereal, sat down, started eating it. My mom came out, she saw me sitting there, and she was like, "Did you just wake up? Like, are you eating breakfast right now?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh my gosh, like your sleep schedule disgusts me." And I was like, "Me too, Mom, me too." And guys, 10 years later, I'm still living by that statement. My sleep schedule is still absolutely fucked. But anyway, yeah, after I got done eating my cereal, I went back into my room, played some Xbox for like an hour or two with some friends. And then after that, I jumped on my computer, on my laptop, and I was just scrolling through Facebook, because back then I used Facebook. I do not use it anymore. Fuck that platform. It's trash. But back then I used it. And while I was on Facebook, one of my friends messaged me on there. We'll just call his friend Caleb. Caleb was one of my good friends back then. He hit me up, and he goes, "Yo, what are you doing tonight?" And I said, "Ain't shit. How about you?" He goes, "You want to sleep over tonight?" Now, usually I didn't like sleeping over at other people's houses that much. I would do it, obviously, because I didn't want to be antisocial. But I would prefer if people would sleep at my house back then, just because I like being in my own home. But I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to say yes, because it had been a long while since I stayed at anybody else's house. So I told him I was down. Let me just go ask my mom real quick. Went in the other room, asked my mom. She said it was fine. And yeah, it was good to go. So I went back into my room, grabbed my laptop, told Caleb that I could pull up whenever. He said pull up around 6:30. So yeah, at 6:30 p.m., I was going to be going to Caleb's house. Now, between that message, that interaction, and then 6:30 p.m., nothing really happened. So I'm just going to skip to 6:30. It was 6:30. It was time to go to Caleb's house. I jumped in the car with my mom. I had my stuff packed. My mom drove me over to his house. She dropped me off, told me to behave myself. I then walked up to Caleb's front door, knocked on it. He opened it. He let me in. I walked inside, said hello to Caleb's parents. They said hi to me. And me and Caleb proceeded to go upstairs to his room. Now, once we got up there, we pretty much did the same thing we'd always do, me and Caleb. Just played games. Just sitting on his Xbox, split screening some campaigns, hanging out, playing some video games, doing a whole lot of nothing. And honestly, man, I miss these days. There was no better feeling, and I'm gonna be an unk real quick, all right? I'm gonna do some unk shit, but there was no better feeling than sitting down with your homies and split screening a good campaign. Specifically Halo. Halo was the shit, bro. Halo 1, 2, and 3, I can't tell you how many times I split screened those games with different friends, and every time it was just as fun as the last, because you were doing it with a new person. Yeah, man, I miss that shit. It makes me really miss being a teenager, can't lie. But yeah, me and Caleb are just sitting there upstairs playing some Xbox 360, split screening some campaigns. I think we did Halo and then played Gears of War. And after doing that for like 2 hours, we both got pretty bored because we just, I don't know, we wanted to take a break. And we were trying to think of things to do. And I can't lie, neither of us were coming up with any good ideas. It was getting pretty late where we lived. It was like 9 or 10 p.m. So at this point, pretty much everything that was fun was closing. And Caleb's parents were going to bed, so we couldn't really get a ride anywhere. and neither of us drove. So if we wanted to do anything, we were going to have to like find something nearby in walking distance. And we couldn't think of shit, man. Nothing was going on. The only thing we could think of doing was like just going for a walk. So we ended up doing that. After like just trying to think of shit and coming up with nothing, we're like, all right, let's just go for a walk. So me and Caleb both leave his house and we start going for a walk. Now, like I said earlier in the story, it was fucking cold. It was the end of 2015. It was December, Christmas break. And where I live in New York, it snows a lot. So we're walking around outside in the freezing cold through the snow, just miserable basically because it was cold. And we get like a mile into our walk and we're both kind of like, this shit kind of sucks. Let's go home. And yeah, we both decide to turn around and start walking home. Now, once we start our walk back to Caleb's house, Caleb has an idea. He's like, yo, I know a shortcut to get home quicker. Let's cut through this main street. So we take a right and we go down this main road in our town. And on this main road, there's like a convenience store, a school, and a bowling alley. And as we're passing the bowling alley, we realize that they're open. They're doing like the late night bowling thing where they shut the lights off and they have all like the black lights on and the neon and stuff. And I look at Caleb and he looks at me and he's like, do you want to bowl? And I was like, I'm down if you are. He's like, fuck it, bro, let's do it. So me and Caleb, we walk into the bowling alley parking lot. We then walk into the main doors, into the bowling alley. We walk up to the front counter and we asked the lady like how much a game would cost. She told me they were running a special and if we both paid $20 a person that you could just have unlimited games. And Caleb didn't have any money, but luckily at the time, like I said, I was becoming a full-time YouTuber, so your boy had some YouTube money, and I was like, bet, let's do it. And I paid for me and Caleb's tickets. Once I paid, the lady said, what size are we for shoes? We got our shoes, put the bowling shoes on. We then walked over to our lane, set it all up, and then we walked over to the rack where they had balls. I then started picking up multiple balls to see which ones felt the best in my hand, you know, which ones weighed a good amount. I then found a 10-pounder, and 10-pounders are my favorite kind of balls to bowl with, obviously. Nothing else. But yeah, I got a 10-pounder, and Caleb got like a 12-pounder, and we went back to our lanes with our balls, and it was time to bowl. Don't take that last part out of context, you motherfuckers. So anyway, we get to our lane, and we started bowling. And I can't lie, it was pretty fun. I fucking love bowling. I still do. Like, if I get the chance to do it, anytime I do, I'll do it. And yeah, me and Caleb are just bowling, just kind of like being competitive, seeing who can get a better score, and we're having a lot of fun. I can't lie. It was actually a very happy accident, because neither of us planned to be doing this on this night. But after we bowl about 2 games, we start getting pretty tired and pretty out of it. So we decided to go to the bar area where they serve food and like drinks and stuff. And we both ordered like a Sprite and some chicken fingers, and we sit down at the bar and we're eating. And we plan on doing like 2 more games after this. But then something happened. Something happened that we did not expect. So while me and Caleb were at the bar eating our chicken fingers, we see a group of kids walk in behind us, probably about the same age as us, like teenagers, probably between the ages of like 15 to 18, right? Multiple different people. And the bowling like check-in area was like right by the bar, so we could hear them checking in. And I heard one of them go, yo, I'm gonna grab a drink real quick, I'm thirsty. And he starts walking over to the bar right next to me. And this dude gets to the bar, he starts ordering, and after he orders his drink, he got like a Coke, he looks over at me, and we kind of make awkward eye contact, and then he looks back over like at the bar, and like, you know, tries to not look at me, and then he looks back at me, and we make awkward eye contact again, and he goes, yo. And I thought he was about to like yell at me for staring at him, because I can't lie, I was kind of staring at him a little bit, because I thought that he was staring at me, so I didn't know, I was like trying to make sure he wasn't staring at me, and from doing that, I was kind of staring at him. And yeah, I thought he was about to call me out and tell me to like stop staring at him. But he goes, yo, super weird question, but is your name Austin? And I thought, what the fuck? How does this guy know my name? And I was like, yeah, it is. How do you know me? And he goes, holy shit, the voice too. And right when he said that, I realized what he was talking about. He recognized me from YouTube. And I was like, wait, do you watch my videos? He's like, yeah, dude, what the fuck? You live here? And I was like, yeah, I live like 10 minutes from here. He goes, holy shit. And he starts fucking freaking out, dude. Like, he's just freaking out, loving life, right? And it made me feel very good because around this time, this was very new to me. This barely happened back then. So, you know, it was cool for me as well. And it still is. Anytime I get recognized out in public, it's never like not an awesome feeling. It still feels like the first time. It's very cool. So obviously I was kind of reciprocating it back to him. I was also very excited to meet him. And he's like, yo, can I get a picture? And I was like, bro, of course. And we take a selfie. Never saw that picture. Usually when I get a picture with someone, they'll tweet it at me or post it on Instagram, but never got to see it. I wish I did because I'd put it in the video. But yeah, anyway, we take a selfie, and after that, he just starts asking me questions. He's like, yo, do you know this person? Like, what school do you go to? Like, what area are you from? Some of them were kind of personal, can't lie, and I couldn't answer all of them, and I told him nicely, like, hey, man, like, can't answer that just because it's kind of like giving away personal info. But I was still trying to answer all the questions I could, and we ended up talking for probably about 10 minutes, and after talking for like 10 minutes, he's like, yo, my friend over there that just got the lane, he's a fan of you as well. You should go surprise him. He'll fucking lose his mind. And I was like, bet, dude, I'm down. Where's he at? And he points him out. They're over at this lane right by ours. So me and Caleb, we get up, we throw away our garbage because we were done eating. And after that, me, Caleb, and this dude that watched me on YouTube are on the way over to his friend's lane to surprise his other friend who also watched me on YouTube. And this shit was so funny. It was perfect. I walked up to their lane, right? And he pointed out which person it was. And I tapped him on the shoulder. And this kid turns around and I go, what's up, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. And immediately he like fucking freaks out. He's like, yo, what? You sound just like him. And I was like, because I am him. He's like, no fucking way. No fucking way. He goes, wait, what? And he starts looking it up on his phone because he's never seen my face before. So I guess the one friend had seen my face, and that's how he recognized me, like just off my face. And then this other friend hadn't seen it before, which is kind of funny. Anyway, after his friend looks me up and sees that it's me, he's like, holy shit, what are you doing here? And we just kind of have the same conversation that I just had with his other homie, and we're all talking in a group now. And it was really cool, really wholesome. Then things got kind of weird. About 5 minutes later, me and Caleb say goodbye to them because, you know, we were just done talking and it was time to go back to our lane and bowl. And we were like literally right down like probably one lane over from them. So like we were close. We could still see each other, communicate with each other, you know, still kind of communicate, right? And we go back to bowling, me and Caleb, and they're bowling over there. And like, I don't know, 30 seconds after we went back to our lane and we start bowling, I hear one of them yell from the other lane, yo, Austin, check this out. And I look over and I see the one dude, not the one that I surprised, but the guy I first talked to. He does like a 360 with his ball, then throws it down the lane and just fucking gutters it, right? And I thought it was pretty funny, so I laughed. And after I laughed, I think he took that as like validation and like, you know, I think he kind of took it as like, oh, I should do more and make it even crazier. Because right afterwards, he goes, yo, Austin, look. And I look over and he goes and throws the ball so high that it hits the ceiling and almost knocks out one of the ceiling tiles. Like, you ever seen that viral video where like the dude throws the ball up at the ceiling and like it breaks the ceiling? He almost did that. And the ball comes slamming down, it slams on the lane, and it was so loud that an employee came over and was like, yo, don't do that again or you're all kicked out. So obviously, I thought this dude wouldn't do some crazy shit again because he just got warned that he might get kicked out. And I just go back to bowling, right? I just kind of, you know, went back to doing my thing with Caleb, right? And like 2 minutes later, I hear, yo, Austin. And I look over, and it's the same dude, that same subscriber, holding a ball in his hand, a bowling ball. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, like what the fuck's he about to do? And I shit you not, he starts running down the lane, full speed on this greasy ass bowling lane. And he gets like halfway down the lane and then he slips and falls flat on his fucking face, drops the ball, gutters it, and just makes a fool of himself. And everyone at his lane's laughing. I'm obviously dying laughing because it was fucking funny. Also, he was fine. I wouldn't laugh like if he wasn't okay. He immediately popped his head back up. He was good. But I don't even think he was intending to do this. I think what he was trying to do was run down the lane and like throw the ball at the pins and get a strike. But he fucked up and he slipped. Now, after he slipped and fell, obviously a lot of people at the bowling alley were looking at them and like including the employees. And that same employee saw it happen, the one that threatened to kick him out. And that employee came over and was like, all right, everyone get their shoes on, get your balls, bring them up to the front. You're out of here. So that lane of people got kicked out. So the two subscribers of mine, their friends, they all had to get up and leave. And I thought that was it. I thought they just got kicked out. That was it. They waved goodbye to me when they were leaving. And I thought that'd be the end of it. And after this, me and Caleb just went back to bowling. We were laughing about the whole situation. Caleb looked over at me and he was like, bro, like some of your subs, man, they're interesting. I was like, yeah, man, they gave me a story time to talk about. And he's like, yeah, dude, that's actually really funny. They kind of did. Little did I know, there was a lot more about to happen. So after we got done bowling, we played about 2 more games. At this point, it'd been quite a while since they got kicked out. I think it'd been like at least an hour since those dudes got kicked out. We decided it's time to leave. So me and my homie, Caleb, we bring our bowling shoes up to the front, return them. We then put our bowling balls back on the rack, and we start leaving the bowling alley. And as soon as we leave the bowling alley and we're walking just out of the parking lot, I see this car flash their lights at me that's parked in one of the parking spots. And all these people start jumping out. And I realize it's the fucking people that got kicked out of the alley like an hour ago. The 2 subscribers and their friends. And I was like, what the fuck? You guys are still here? And the one dude runs up to me, not the one that was throwing the ball and getting everyone kicked out, but the other dude that I surprised, he runs up to me. He's like, yeah, man, we wanted to hang out afterwards because I didn't get a picture with you. Can I get a photo with you? I was like, yeah, dude. So I took a selfie with him. Once again, he didn't post it either, so don't have that picture, unfortunately. But, still cool. And afterwards, we're just talking a little bit, just making small talk, laughing about the fact that I got kicked out. Some harmless shit, right? And after me and that dude took a selfie and we kind of small talked for a little bit, just as I was about to leave and tell them, like, peace out, have a good night, one of them, the other dude, the one that got them kicked out, he goes, yo, real quick, you want to see something crazy? And I was like, sure. How crazy we talking? Like, you about to get kicked out of the parking lot too? Like, what's going on? He goes, nah, man. Well, maybe. And I was like, what? What does that mean? He goes, nah, just wait. And he runs over to the trunk of this car and he pops the trunk and he comes back over and he's holding like 4 fireworks in his hand. Keep in mind, guys, it's fucking December in New York, and where I live, at least at the time, fireworks were very illegal. So why this dude had a bunch of fireworks in his car is beyond me, especially in fucking December. Like, it's one thing to see fireworks in July, but like December? Anyway, I just kind of laughed and I was like, oh, cool, you got some fireworks? He's like, yeah, man, you want to light one off? And I was like, in the parking lot? Nah, not really. He's like, how about we go across the street? There's an abandoned place over there. We're just doing that parking lot. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm about to say no. Honestly, most of my brain was like, nah, this isn't a good idea. Just say no. But then I looked over at Caleb, and Caleb was looking at me with this look of like, let's do this, man. Let's do it. So I looked back at this guy, and I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. So we walk across the street to this abandoned like convenience store that had been closed for like a year. And we walked over to the side/back lot of the building. It was a pretty big parking lot, so it was a lot of space. And I also thought, big space, not a lot of room for things to go wrong, right? I really thought that nothing could go wrong. And this dude, he goes, which one do you want to light? I have a few of them. And I was like, just do one, you can pick. So he picks the biggest one. He picks one of those ones you would see on 4th of July, like the ones that shoot up in the sky and explode. He didn't pick the bottle rocket or like the ones that just have some sparks that are like, pretty quiet. He picked the biggest, loudest 4th of July level firework he fucking could. And he puts it down on the ground and he goes to light it and it falls over. And this kind of firework, it was meant to be stuck in like dirt or like into the ground, like steady and like sturdy. And we were in a parking lot, so you can't really stick a firework in the ground. It's pavement. So he's trying to stick it in like this crack in the parking lot and it's not working. It keeps falling over when he goes to light it. And I kept telling him like, yeah, maybe don't do that one. Because if that falls over while he's trying to light it and it lights, it's going to shoot sideways at our feet or at one of us and hurt one of us. So I told him like, oh, maybe pick a different one. He's like, no, I can get it to work. I can get it to work. Hold on. And he finally ends up like balancing it between this crack in the ground, but it was still looking pretty sketchy. I can't lie. And I really thought like, this is stupid. This is really stupid. And he goes to light it and the fuse lights. And I think to myself, okay, too late to turn back now. Hopefully it stays in the ground. And right when I have this thought, a gust of wind comes along and blows it over to the right. And now this thing is lit and it's leaning to the right. And it's aimed right at me and Caleb. And I was like, oh, hell no. So I grab Caleb and we fucking jump out of the way right as this thing lights off. And it shoots perfectly right by us. It whizzes right by me and Caleb. And it doesn't go just off to the right. It perfectly goes into the dumpster that's on the side of this building. And it lands in the dumpster. And everyone's like, oh shit, oh shit. And all of a sudden, the loudest, most crazy echoing explosion happens in this dumpster. It was so fucking loud because not only it was a firework, but it was in this giant dumpster. So it like echoed the sound in this really wild way. And it sounded like a fucking bomb went off on this street. And then I hear more explosions going off. So I guess it was one of those fireworks that blows up and then blows up little ones as well. So like, it was like bam, 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 bam. Like it was crazy. And immediately everyone just disperses and starts running. And me and Caleb are left standing there like, what the fuck? Everyone's running. Shit, we got to run too. So me and Caleb turn around and we start running away towards his neighborhood. And as we're running, I could hear from behind us one of the dudes yell something at me. I think it was one of the subscribers. I think it was like, peace out, dude, or like, nice meeting you, something, right? Like he yelled something that sounded friendly. And when I turned around to like, wave goodbye as we ran away, I looked over at the dumpster and sure enough, there was a lot of smoke pouring out of it. And that can be one of two things. One, it's just from the firework, or two, it's from the firework and it caught garbage on the inside on fire and it was now in flames. Now I was really hoping that it was not option 2 because that would be really bad. Lighting off a firework in a dumpster is already bad enough, but then starting a dumpster fire, not good. So anyway, me and Caleb ran back to his house. When we got inside, we both were just like looking at each other and I'm like, yo, that was fucking insane. And Caleb's like, bro, craziest shit ever. Like this went from the most boring night on earth to one of the most insane nights I've ever had in my fucking life. And I was like, you're telling me, bro, I know. And he's like, dude, did you see that dumpster afterwards? Like, bro, I think it was on fire. And I was like, bro, don't say that. Please don't say that. And right after he says this, we start to hear sirens outside. We had the window open in the living room and we could hear sirens and we opened the front door to hear them better. And we go outside and it sounds like they're coming from like, a couple streets over. And a couple streets over was where that bowling alley is and where that abandoned convenience store is and where that dumpster was, where the firework went off. And I look over at Caleb and I was like, bro, you don't think someone called the cops, do you? He's like, bro, you don't? Did you hear what it sounded like when that fucking firework went off, bro? Like, I bet the whole city heard it. And I was like, dude, like, this is bad. This is really bad. He's like, bro, do you want to go investigate it? And I was like, what? What do you mean? He's like, do you want to go check it out, see if the cops are there? I was like, bro, we were like there, like we were involved. Like, what if we get arrested or some shit? He's like, bro, we won't get arrested. We were simply fucking bystanders. We were there watching. You even told the dude to pick a different firework and he didn't. He picked that one, not you. You didn't light it. You didn't do shit. You just stood there and watched. You're not going to get arrested for watching. And I was like, all right, fair enough, man. Sure, let's do it. So me and Caleb end up walking all the way back to like the area. And guess what? When we got there was 2 fire trucks, some police officers. There was people. There was cops and shit. And I was like, holy fuck. And Caleb, he wastes no time. He just immediately starts walking up to one of the firefighters standing by the dumpster. And he's like, hey, don't mean to bug you or like, bother you, but what happened? Like, was it like a fire or something? Playing stupid. And this firefighter is like, oh yeah, no worries. Like it was just a little dumpster fire. It burned itself out before we even got here. Some kids were being dumb, lighting off fireworks. There was some old garbage in the dumpster, caught fire. But like I said, it's all good now. It could have been a lot worse. Luckily, this place is abandoned. There wasn't much garbage left in the dumpster. If this was like an active business and it was trash day and that dumpster was filled with garbage, it could have been way worse. And me and Caleb like immediately look at each other and Caleb looks back at the firefighter and he's like, well, I'm really happy you guys like responded quickly. Like, thanks guys. Like, thanks for keeping the community safe. Just like, giving them like a thank you, I guess, right? And after this, we turn around to leave and a police officer walks up to us and he goes, hey boys. We turn around and he goes, we were talking to some people at the bowling alley across the street and an employee there said that he saw people in this parking lot lighting off fireworks, looked to be around your age. Do you guys know anything about that tonight? And before I could even think, Caleb just takes the wheel and he's like, yeah, so we met these guys tonight at the bowling alley and 2 of them liked his YouTube videos a lot. And he points to me and he's like, and yeah, they got kicked out for doing some stupid shit. And then when we were leaving, they approached us in the parking lot and this one guy said he had fireworks and he's like, hey, you want to light some off? And we just simply watched. We were bystanders. As a matter of fact, Austin, and he points to me, he's like, Austin told the guy, don't light that firework off. Like, it's not a good idea. Pick a smaller one, And this guy lit it anyway. And like, look what happened. Like, this all happened. And Caleb just lays it all out on the table. Just fucking says everything, right? He didn't give a fuck if those dudes got in trouble. He was like, fuck it, I'm snitching on them right now. Like, I'm not getting in trouble for shit. They are. Anyway, after he told the cop, like, everything, this cop's like, okay, so you boys, like, were here. Like, you know who did this? And we're both like, no, we don't really know who did it. Like, we just met them tonight. And the cop's like, do you know their names? And we're both like, no. And I genuinely didn't. I had already forgot their names. Like, they told me their first names, but I already forgot because, I had my mind on other things, like the fact that a dumpster just, essentially exploded and caught on fire and the cops were there. And my mind was in a lot of places. I just couldn't really remember their names. Still can't. And then the cop was like, so you do like YouTube or something? And I was like, yeah, that's how they knew about me. And I had to show the cop my channel, like make sure, he knew I wasn't full of shit. And the cop thought it was pretty cool. He's like, wow, you got a lot of subs. That's awesome. And we we were just talking about that for a little bit afterwards. And luckily this cop was very chill and he believed us. And we were telling the truth, you know, like Caleb told the full truth and I was telling the truth. Like we didn't know the dudes. We just watched it happen. And the cop ended up talking to another cop as well that was there about the whole situation. And after like talking to them for probably about 10 minutes, they let us leave. They was like, all right, like we don't really need you. If you don't know who the guys are and you don't know like anything about them, you can just leave. And we left. And we went home. And the rest of that night, we just played video games and stayed our ass inside because we did not need our night getting any more interesting than it already had. Now, after that, I wish I could say that like I knew what happened to those dudes, you know, those 2 subscribers. Like, I don't know. Like the bowling alley could have had security cameras. They might have gotten their plates on their car. Maybe they got caught. Maybe they never got caught. I don't know. I never got any Instagram tags or, you know, tweets with those photos, so I can never find who they were and like DM them about it. So they're still out there somewhere, and I have not seen them since this day. If I ever run into them again someday, I will surely ask them, and maybe there will be a part 2 to this, but I'm not sure if there ever will be. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it of the story time. That is about one of the most insane subscriber encounters I've ever had in my life, and how it unfolded. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about it. I definitely enjoyed telling it. Definitely one of my favorite stories. Moral of the story is, don't play with fireworks, and don't do stupid shit to try and impress someone that you look up to. That isn't smart either. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace. I got trouble for days. Why is everybody acting like they got a friend? Type of shit I seen